So Linux is a weird thing when you think about it, because despite being in most cases outshined by the main OS everyone uses, Windows or macOS if you're one of those people, then there should be really no place in the world for Linux. And yet despite that, it has quite a big and dedicated and also rather argumentative community around it, which makes it perfect material for my Unpopular Opinion series, because I have some thoughts on Linux and how dumb the whole thing is, at least up to a point, making the whole thing seem more like this hipsters OS, the OS for people who want to be different. So I decided to delve into the world of Linux, discover everything there is to discover, and truly understand what it means to be Linux. Wait. Now the first thing I need to address though is that there's lots of reasons to use Linux in very specific circumstances. After all, if you really need a very specific OS for example servers, or a computer for some very specific coding, then there's most likely some Linux distro to fit your needs because of how many there are of those things, and because of how customizable the very core of Linux is. So there's most likely something that will fit whatever very specific thing you need. And if I ever have some kind of server running for whatever reason, then I'll probably use some kind of Linux distro on it, as they can be so specifically manipulated and changed to have whatever you want. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves, because there's also plenty you can do to change up your Windows, as there's tools like the registry editor or the PowerShell which you can use to really spice up your Windows experience, or if you need to change up a few more things just to make it, you know, more suited to whatever you're doing. And that's where the hipster aspect comes in, because even though Windows has everything you could possibly need, people still use Linux in quite a few situations where it honestly doesn't seem like it's required, especially when it comes to home use and just like running a normal PC like here. So I decided to look into some of the main reasons people use Linux, and of course try to debunk them, because that's what the show is about. So let's start off with one of the bigger things people say, and one I guess do agree with, and that is Linux is way less intensive on the hardware, meaning that even on older computers it will run. And it's a good reason why so many people on older hardware switch over from Windows to Linux, because that way they can keep that older hardware going for a few more months or even years. Sure, the hardware itself is still bad, but when it comes to actually running an OS and doing things like browsing the web or whatever else you may be doing on your PC, then it will definitely make things feel a bit smoother there. However, don't kid yourself and think it will make your PC never age or something. However, one of the big reasons for people to use Linux is security and privacy, and I have an entire other episode of Unpopular Opinions planned on talking about privacy, because let's just say it looks like I may have some controversial thoughts on that as well. And I guess there is something hipstery in the very essence of caring so much about your privacy, because after all, if you think about it logically, what is wrong with just Microsoft or whoever else collecting data on how you use your PC? Like, there's literally nothing inherently wrong with that. But people are going extreme distances, not only installing Linux, but then on their Linux machines going way further just to make sure that they're never tracked even a bit in any way possible. Which is like, why? What's the big deal? And yes, Windows does have some ways of tracking what you do on a PC and collecting data on how you use it, you know, mainly for the purpose of understanding how people use the services so they know how to better them, you know, no big deal. And I'm completely fine with it, and most people should be fine with it, because again, it doesn't really affect anything. And like I said, I have a whole video planned on that topic, because like you probably have guessed, I have some thoughts on privacy and to get out into the world. Another reason I've seen people stating is that Linux is free. And yes, although it is true, but notice whenever people talk about getting a new PC, they almost never mention anything about, you know, the costs of Windows or thinking about the OS, because most likely if you're buying a pre-build, then it will most likely come pre-installed with Windows, and most likely Windows 10. But also, most people who are buying a new PC will most likely just buy a grey market key, which you can get for like 10 to 20 pounds. And for that just 10 to 20 pounds extra, you're getting a way superior OS experience than Linux, from the stuff you get, to how clean everything is, to the support you're gonna get, to the feature set you have at your disposal, to how polished everything is, to how coded everything is. All of that is better with Windows, because you have these whole large teams of people developing the thing that have probably provided resources worth millions of dollars, seeing how, you know, it's all carried out by Microsoft, one of the biggest companies on the planet. And yes, if you were to run into some problems with Linux, there are definitely lots of forums and communities and Discords and whatever else you can join to get some help, but seeing how specific and niche so many of these distros are compared to just one universal Windows platform, unless you're still one of those people who use Windows 7 or 8 for whatever reason, then of course you have more luck finding more people to help you if you're using Windows, because it's a bigger product and more people are involved with it. Coming back to price though, when I was looking for reasons people used Linux, let me quickly go over one of the literally dumbest reasons I've seen, and that is that apparently it's more ethical to use Linux because it's free compared to something like macOS or Windows, because, you know, God forbid that someone gets paid for the software they spend ages making. You know, what a novel idea, people getting paid for software? I imagine these are the people who are still harkening back to the good old days of shareware back in the 90s, and it more seems like a Trojan horse of an argument, hiding behind the face of these ethics that make no sense in the first place to make it sound better than them just not wanting to spend an extra few pounds for a way superior product. So I hope you can see now where I'm coming with the whole Linux is the OS for hipsters thing, because it definitely seems that way, and the people in the community are definitely not helping that image. But let me know down in the comments below what you think of Linux. If you think that what I said is completely wrong, tell me why. If you agree with me or have some other points to make, just whatever it is, tell me down in the comments below, and also tell me what other things you think I should do unpopular opinions videos about. And definitely stay tuned to my next episode, which will be about online privacy. If you found any of my thoughts on it in this video interesting, then definitely stay tuned for that one. Also check out my previous unpopular opinions video where I talked about why backing up your data isn't that useful as most people say. And also other upcoming episodes I have planned, we'll be talking about things like the online digital artist scene and also sound cards and optical drives. So if any of those topics sound interesting for you, remember to subscribe and hit that bell button so you know when those videos drop. Also, I'd love to thank my Patreon Barry for supporting the channel on Patreon. Thank you ever so much, and if you want to support the channel, then check out my Patreon down in the video description below. Even $1 goes a long way in allowing me to make way better videos and videos on way more interesting topics. Also check out my Discord, which is also linked down in the video description below if you want to talk more about what I talk about in this video or really anything else. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to subscribe, like, whatever, and I'll see you all in what I make next. Goodbye everyone. Goodbye.